Okay, September 19th, getting a little bit into the evening. I want to make a quick video on my father, George Dwayne Crossett. Perhaps a little bit of a tragic life and story, I don't know. Dad was always good to me. He never abused me in any way. He spanked us a couple of times, but nothing that was certainly out of the realm of reasonableness. And I had a relationship with him growing up. He worked all the time to support our family. He was good at being faithful, providing the necessities of life. He certainly was a good candidate for the Mormon Church. To say the least, he was fanatical. He didn't have a lot of self-esteem, and he loved to rule over other people. It made him feel important, and he was definitely pre-deposition to join the Mormon Church, and he did. And from that point forward was a patriarch and had patriarchal authority and used it. My mother was really a second-class citizen all the years that she lived with him, which, gee, it seems to me it was like 21 years before they got divorced. But my dad was a printer. All the years that I knew him, he worked for the Star Free Press in Ventura, California, and he was in a union. And the interesting thing about my dad, my mom continues to say that he was brilliant, that he scored 148 or something on an IQ test. And just of late, last week, I quizzed her on that statistic and its strength of truthfulness. And the truth of the matter is that he said that he took a test. He told her he took a test, and he told her what the score was. Well, again, my experience with what my eyes saw and an IQ of 148 is just... I have to laugh. My dad, these are the things I remember about him. He was always trying to fix something that he didn't know how to fix. I remember one incident that my mom bought a brand new chair, a velvet chair, for the living room. He came home from work in the backyard and had a screwdriver in his pocket upside down, so the point was out of the pocket. And when he stood up, he hooked the back of the chair, put about a 12-inch rip in it, and it hung on his butt as he walked across the room. Now, it didn't look like 148 IQ at that point to me. Well, then we decided to move to another place, and he was going to save some money on trash. He didn't want to pay the trash man to pick up our trash. So he bought a trailer, and we just threw our trash in the trailer all month long, and when it was full, he would take it to the trash disposal area. Well, why he couldn't get into a disposal area one month, I don't know. Maybe he was trying to save the $10 or whatever to dump the trailer of trash, and he decided to dump it over the embankment on one of the roads. Well, it wasn't a day or two, and the police showed up and knocked on the door, and my dad answered, and they had one of his checkbooks with his name and address on it, and told him to go pick his trash up immediately or he was going to jail. Dad did not look like 148 IQ at that point to me. Well, one day he brought home a dog for the kids, and we were in Riverside, and he brought this boxer dog home for us kids to play with. Well, the boxer was so vicious and violent that we chained it to one of the pillars on the patio, and you couldn't get near the thing. I mean, it would just look like it's going to eat you to death. And so we asked Dad, what's the deal? Why is the dog so mean? He says, well, it was a guard dog. I said, well, Dad, why did you buy us a guard dog for children? Because I don't know, I thought it was a good idea. So again, 148 IQ, and we could never get near that dog. It was just chained in the backyard day and night. And then I remember we had to move something somewhere, and Dad decided it was a good idea to buy a one-wheel trailer. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever seen a one-wheel trailer. If you have, you would remember. Believe me, a one-wheel trailer is something you don't see a lot, but they're cheap. And we loaded it and pulled it behind the car. I don't remember if it was on vacation or something. And if you've ever tried to back a one-wheel trailer up, they don't back up. Take my word for it. And we blew out the tire. Well, the nice thing about a one-wheel trailer, you can change all the tires for one wheel. So we went into Sears to find a tire to put on the trailer. And when Dad saw the price, and of course I understand that, he said, you know, it's too much money. I'm not going to pay that much for a one trailer wheel. So he went over to the wheelbarrow department, and he decided to buy a wheelbarrow tire. And he took it out and he mounted it on the trailer, and we must have gone, I don't know, a mile, 2 miles, and it blew out. It blew totally out. So he gathers his tire back up, and we go back into Sears because he wants his money back. So the guy says to him, well, you know, how did this happen? And he told him, he said, you know, I put it on the trailer and it blew out. And the salesman, you know, he didn't have an IQ of 148. He said, well, you know, this tire was made to go on a wheelbarrow, and they usually go like 1 mile an hour at the fastest. It's not made for high-speed traffic. And so he argued with Dad, and he wouldn't give Dad back his money, and Dad had misused the design of that particular tire. So there was another 148 IQ that I witnessed with my father. And oh God, speaking of the Mormon church, my dad, you know, he fit perfectly into the Mormon church. He didn't know what to say, what to do. He had no social skills, and at this point in my life, I don't think high intelligence. But anyway, the Mormon church told him to store a year's supply of food and fuel and water. Well, we had a family of 7. You would need a warehouse like a big box store to store enough food, water, and fuel for a year like the Mormon church required. And if you didn't do that, boy, you were on their list. So my dad was intimidated and fearful, and so he bought some rice, unfumigated rice. We didn't know in those days you're supposed to buy fumigated rice. And we had this great big huge rice pile in our garage covered with a tarp, and we were putting it with shovels into number 10 not number 10, I forget, the big one, the big cans. And we began to realize that when we sealed them and opened them up later, that the weevils were bigger inside the cans than the wheat. And we needed to grind the wheat for cereal in the morning. And Dad got into the church buying him a wheat grinder and paid for it, but it had no motor on it. We were the motor on this crank, stupid wheat mill. So we'd have to go out in our pajamas, freezing on the cold floor in the garage, and grind our own breakfast and bring it in and put water, or I mean milk in it, and sugar, and it tasted like crap, and we hated it. Well, we had to pour on it powdered milk because it saved money, and it could be stored for 20 years in a garage. So, you know, we were being abused at that particular point, and we had milk gallons and bleach bottles of water in the garage that numbered into the hundreds. We couldn't put a car in there no matter what you did. So when I again look at this section of my father's life while I lived with him, it was poor. It wasn't one of the sharper tools in the shed. Now, we all do stupid stuff, But I don't think I would put a wheelbarrow tire on a trailer that goes 70 miles an hour. Most wheelbarrows don't go that fast. Anyway, Dad was always good to us and always supported us. And, you know, I will say briefly that, you know, Dad was, appeared to be a child molester, a perpetrator. We didn't know that. He molested my sister for 1 or 2 years before the family found out. And there seems to be some good documentation in the community that it wasn't just my sister. So that certainly ruined his life. But I do love him and did love him, and it's certainly a huge character flaw. And he should be feeling that that should have never happened. But the rest of his life has been fairly pristine, and I don't think he has an IQ of 148 from what I've seen of the man. But I think that he was a good man, other than the molestation factor. And he'll never get to see this tape. I think he's in a rest home. But I just wanted to kind of lay the record out, who he was, how I remember him. I'm sure each one of our family members will remember him differently. But I'm sure he didn't have an IQ of 148. Thanks.